We're planning to change the gas tank in my son's '06 Outlander, and I found that there are just about no videos of anyone doing this, so I thought I'd make a quick one myself. The top of his tank is rusty. It's full of holes. If I was going to patch it, I'd have to take it down anyway, and if I'm going to go that far, I might as well put another tank in it. This one's made by Spectra. I got it from Rock Auto for $185 plus shipping. I think shipping was about 15 bucks. This is for a front wheel drive. If you have an all-wheel drive, your tank doesn't look like this. It's more of a saddle tank. It's got a hump in the center for the dry shaft for the rear diff. So don't forget that. Front wheel drive or all-wheel drive, the tanks are different. Make sure you know what you're buying. It looks pretty good. It came with all the little rubber seals for all the little things that connect into this tank. I've never seen a tank with so many holes for things to attach to. This is obviously the fuel pump. I think this is something else that's wired. These other three, it must be some sort of venting system, you know, but this is like crazy. It's going to take us a while to get all that stuff transferred onto this tank when we put it up. The one thing I did find, I bought a new bracket for the fuel pump because the hold down bracket is pretty badly rusted on the one that's on there. So rather than take a chance, I picked this one up. And when I tried to put it over the studs, the bracket would not fit. Well, after some work, I got it to fit perfectly. The problem is the studs sticking up out of here for all these different connections are crooked. You can look at them. See, this one is bent that way, this one is bent that way, this one is bent that way. I've had to double nut these, and take a crescent wrench, stick it over the nuts, and then gently bend the stud in whatever direction it needs to go in until they're perpendicular, you know, with the surface of the tank. They're all crooked. I don't think there was one that is actually straight. So I've already did ones for the fuel pump. I've worked on these three. These are pretty close, not bad. I still have to do all the others to get them straight so they stick straight up. Otherwise you're going to have a terrible time trying to get this all together. They come with all the rubber seals for all these connections, including one for the fuel pump. All new nuts for all these studs. So I don't think it will be too much of a problem once we get everything connected to get it up there. The other thing that was unusual is that this tank is not held up by straps. About every gas tank I've ever had anything to do with in my lifetime has been strapped to the underside of the vehicle in one way or another. This one is not. This is bolted up to the floor pan. There are studs go down through these holes here with nuts, and it's bolted in. There's 6 connections. It's actually bolted to the floor pan solidly. There's no straps. That's pretty unusual. I'm hoping the rest of the tank fits all right. I won't be sure until we get it up there. But this is the one I bought for the all-wheel or the front-wheel drive Outlander MT2B. There are lots of these around. Probably more for the all-wheel drive than the front-wheel drive because they're more popular. There's more of them out there. Just make sure to buy the right tank. There is an access hole to access the fuel pump, and this connector here too from underneath the rear seat cushion. I will show you that later, how to get the cushion off. It's very easy. The inspection plate's got four Phillips screws in for this part, and this one has got a round disc that just pops out of the floor pan. And that sure makes things easier. There's a lot of wiring and hose connections that have to come apart. And since I have access to this one, I plan to take this one out, and I have a pump, a little battery-powered pump. I'm going to stick the hose in here and drain the tank, and that'll be convenient. So we'll see how it goes. I'll get some more video when we get ready for to take the other tank out. You have the rear seat cushion out. You see they have these U-shaped metal tabs. So you just stick a screwdriver in here, pry up, pull it out of a little plastic piece that holds it down. One on each side. Once you get it up vertically, these hooks will come out. Just pick it all the way up vertical and pull it out. Pretty simple. There are access plates here. It's got 4 Phillips screws. You have access to the fuel pump. And there's a little round piece that pops out of here. It's just glued in. Access to whatever that is. It's got a wire running to it. 3 screws. I'm gonna remove this and put a pump in there to pump the gas tank dry. So I'm gonna take this out first. We'll get all these connections done. This fuel line, I believe, you squeeze it here and it should come loose. That's the original fuel pump. We're going to put it back in. New one's pretty expensive. We'll see how long that lasts. Well, the next job will be to get all these connections pulled apart without damaging anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different hoses all coming from the tank. Hopefully I can get these apart without wrecking anything, because I'll need to put all this back together then. Save all these hoses and all the pipes coming from the fill tube. And then there's some of the bolts and some of the nuts holding the gas tank on. Like I said, it's bolted directly to the undercarriage here. Actually no straps. But I need to get all this loose first. So we'll see how this goes. Well, getting the clamps out the hoses was no problem at all, because they were so badly rusted. As soon as I touched them, they fell off. But I got the hoses loose. I don't think it did too much damage. Just got something sharp to start peeling them back a little bit. Put some PB blaster up in there and loosen them up, and got them loose and pulled them off. This one, of course, I can't get off. I loosen the tank up, pull it back a little bit. So I started getting these rusty bolts out. A little bit of PB blaster, and we'll see if we can get those out. One of the other question is, can I drop this without dropping the exhaust system? You have a little bit of space here. Is it going to be enough? Well, I don't know. You might be able to drop it down far enough to slide it out from underneath the exhaust system, or I may not. But I'm going to go ahead and take the bolts loose in the tank and see if I can get it out without touching the exhaust system. I'd rather not screw with that, because it'll probably fall apart as soon as I start moving it around. That'll be project number 2 today. Alright, let's zip these rusty bolts out and see what happens. Well, tank's out. The exhaust system's still up. I was able to jiggle it out from underneath that and get it out of there. But the only problem I had was getting the back. This corner over here has got an e-brake cable that comes out of the floor. That's kind of in the way. You had to bend it out of the way to get it to drop down. Everything else is intact. I didn't break anything, so you know, that makes it a little easy to reassemble. But the tank itself, well, this thing's a little rusty. That's an understatement. Top of this tank looks like it's been accumulating salt and debris for a long time. Pretty crusty, huh? Yeah, a bit. Look at this. I think that was a source of my leak. Well, probably. Problem now is getting this nuts off, getting all these things out of here without damaging anything else. These clamps too are totally rusted. They'll just fall right off. I'll just put all new ones on. Hoses also. I have to look at those over real closely and see what I got to do here to get all these fittings back into the new tank. But wow, what a mess, huh? It's definitely had to come out. Yep, see what I got to do to clean this all up and get it back together. Get all these fittings into the new tank. Well, I got everything transferred over to the new tank. Everything fit, looks pretty neat. Now we just need to install it. Well, we're going to put everything back together underneath. This looks good. Still got the old pump in there. Still running, thank goodness. Well, looking good so far. Okay, it's in there. Didn't have to drop the exhaust. That was nice. Got this thing pretty well buttoned up. No leaks so far, thank goodness. Got so many connections up here. There's just, you know, a lot of places for leaks to happen. There's a lot of hoses in this tank, a lot of connections in the top. What a pain. But hey, done. Good to go. On this thing a few more miles.